for the 3 days of the conference. In fact, I want to start by posing a very simple question. Can a crisis really fundamentally reshape our beliefs and behaviors? Well, the simple answer is, crisis can trigger either the best or the worst of our inner selves. Our reaction to a disaster usually determines our survival. Humanity has witnessed so far many pandemics, hurricanes, fires, and the list is so long. Well, the support that people had shown to each other at times of need was really what made humanity survive. So this conference as to bring hope and positivity in a time when major disruptions can cause fundamental shifts in social attitudes and beliefs, which pave the way for new policies, ways of working, consumer needs and behaviors, some of which persist in the long run. How then companies can just prepare for a post-crisis world rather than coping for a return to the past? Today, we will host a group of the best professionals, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and world influencers who will share their thoughts on the main theme, how to build a resilient recovery. In fact, this conference is not the outcome of one mind or one person, but rather it is a blend. All the speakers volunteered and shared their knowledge and time just to make this conference exist for audience all over the world. Now, let me go over the schedule in a glimpse. Now, for today, inshallah, we will have 8 speakers. Each presentation will be for 15 minutes and 5 minutes that follows for questions. Now, let me introduce the speakers quickly. Inshallah, our opening keynote speaker will be Ghazel, an educator, author, and speaker, and he will be talking about active student-centered remote learning. So the first session will be related to education. Our second speaker will be Jelena Dirmitrijevic. Sorry, I just want to mention that Ally, Canadian, will be podcasting from Saudi Arabia. Jelena Dirmitrijevic is Serbian and she'll be podcasting from Belgrade. Jelena is an organizational consultant and executive coach. She will be talking today about reflection and reflective online, our guide through VUCA changes in organizational life. So she will cover the business domain of the conference. Our third speaker will be Canan Piskin, podcasting from the UK. And Canan is also a coach, certified coach, and she will be talking about positive intelligence and mental fitness. So she will cover the self-development domain, something that we need really urgently. Sorry for the now. Then we will be hosting Dr.Teri Baydar. She is the CEO, Whisperer of White Lily Intellectual Development. She is executive coach and leadership development consultant. And she will be talking about changing your mind can change the world. Then we will be with Dr. Layla Bloushi. Dr. Layla is a global goodwill ambassador, and she will be talking about shifting from certificate to competency. And after that, we will have a break of 15 minutes, after which we will start at 7 with Dr. Dedra Stevenson, award-winning author. Yes, Dr. Dedra. She's award-winning author and screenwriter, founder of Stevenson company. And she will be talking about outsourcing creativity post-COVID-19. Then will be Kirsten is from Kirsten will be talking about developing resilience, acknowledge, learn, and move forward. For the closing keynote speaker, we will be very pleased to host Dr. Hanan Selim. She is an international award, and she will be talking about productivity and proficiency strategy. Now, let's start, and I invite Mr. Ghazel. Mr. Eli.
Hello.
The mic is yours.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I will mute my.
Okay. If there are any problems and people can't hear me, just wave or send a chat message. I will be checking WhatsApp as well to see if there's, oh, okay. No, there are connection issues. All right. Okay. So the title for today is, of course, the topic of the hour, active student-centered remote learning. But what is the way forward? And what has happened and what can we do in the future? So today I'm going to focus on the following words. Active learning, what is that? Student-centered, what is that? Learning experience, what is that? And technology, what is that? Now the talk is very short, 15 minutes at the most, 20 minutes to be able to get everything across in one concept. At the end, I will leave my contact details, but at the same time, you can contact the organizers for future work together or developing what we just talked about. So I would like to ask for your forgiveness because it's a very short talk and I cannot delve any deeper than what I'm going to be doing right now. Okay, let's start. The first point I would like to make is that remote and distance learning is not new. It's not new at all. Many years ago, before the advent of internet, etc., they used to be called correspondence courses. And what happened in a correspondence course is that you receive your lessons by mail. The lesson will contain the materials, the booklets, and anything else. And long ago, I mean, my sister studied Spanish by getting LP records that she had to play and do something with the work. Now you can see here, these are DVDs, but if you go back some time, we would get, my sister would get her Spanish lessons on an LP. And the nicest thing about correspondence is that there was no clicking answers. You had to work. You had to actually write, do something, and then send it back for the instructor to give you feedback. So distance learning, remote learning is not new. It has always been there, but how does it change in format using present-day technology? How do we develop that for not adults, but for children in schools as well? Now, the first thing we want to talk about technology is that technology is for storage. That's the number one reason we have technology. In the past, technology could be on a cassette tape, printed paper, and believe it or not, if you're studying, let's say, electronics, or they would actually send you a kit, and you had to put that kit together and then send it back so that they can check your work. This is really hands-on. Today, who knows? Soon, we are not going to need that kit. We can have holograms where we can put the parts together, assemble an airplane, maybe use hologram. But storage is also in PDFs, PowerPoints, media files, streaming, etc. So the difference today than the past is that in the past, you had to get a physical item, whereas today it's all given to you digitally. The second reason we have technology is for communication. Again, let's go to the past, pre-internet. You had to call. That's the way we communicate. You pick up the phone, you dial that. Most of you are too young to remember these. And my kids, when they see a phone with rotary, they think it's pretty cool, you know, to have something that you actually have to have a rotary dial, and then they watch the zero going back. So communication was via phones or letters. However, today, we have a gazillion apps that we can use for communication. And finally, the most important part of learning, which was not present in the past, is the interaction. Interaction is when two people are working with each other to build learning experience. So today, like today, we have the Zoom with the breakout rooms, and people can actually interact, talk to each other, do things together. So what is different between technology in the past and technology today? All these physical, time-consuming delivery items, bulky, have been reduced to a single device that is a laptop, a pad, or even your handheld device, your phone. So this is the technology. And remember, we use technology for storage, for communication, and for interaction. That's what it is. Storage in the past was on paper or audio tapes. Communication was via analog phones, letters. Today, it can all be done. However, when we say technology, technology is not enough to create learning. We need to look at something else. And the most important thing is called the learning experience. Let's have a quick look. For learning to happen, there must be a source of information. There is no vacuum in learning. What happens, or what are the sources of information in order for us to learn? Well, we can hear something. We can hear a real live speaker, or we can hear them, streaming, or we can hear them on a recorded device. In the past, we had the source of information was from a paper source, like a book. Today, it's digital. We can see, we can feel, and let's not forget, our memories are not blanks. We have information in our memory. So let's be careful. Information is not knowledge. Information is information. The technology is in how you store and transmit this information for the learners. Now, here is another problem. Some people still believe that they should absorb and retain information from a source, and they believe that is learning. This is not a learning experience. Retaining and absorbing information is not a learning experience. When does it become a learning experience? If we take the source of information, but let's look at what human beings can do. Human beings are born. These are the most essential processing available in a human being. We can compare and contrast. We can find cause and effect. We can classify and categorize. We can find a sequence. We can establish a pattern and 250 other things. So when does it become a learning experience? When our minds process information that we hear, read, see, feel, or that exists in our memory by comparing and contrasting it, by finding a cause for an effect or an effect for a cause, by classifying and categorizing that information, by sequencing that information, by establishing that pattern, and many others, but the screen is too small and the time is too short for us to go into everything. But we can do that at some point one day in the future. So in order for it to be called a learning experience, the information must be processed, and this can only happen in the brain. Your senses hear, read, see, feel, but only your brain can compare, contrast, cause, effect, etc. So what is a learning experience again? It's when our brains process information through comparison and contrast, etc., information that we receive. If we just receive the information, it's not a learning experience. So I would like to tell some teachers out there in teaching land, listening is not an experience, is not learning, unless the student is doing something in the brain with that. Now, let's look at distance learning again, or remote learning. All learning, when you process information without a teacher, is still called learning. So if you are reading a book alone, and your mind is actively processing what you are reading, then you are getting a learning experience. However, for those of you who love to read like I do, it is also possible to read several pages and your mind is on something else. Have you ever has that ever happened to you where you're reading and then you stop, you go, oh my God, I just went through 6, 7 pages and I was reading, but my mind was not processing. I had no idea I was reading. I was thinking about something else. Remote learning is when you are processing information, whether it's from a book or a videotape, etc. Now, let's go to active learning, and now we start to look at what teachers need to design in order to do this. If we talk, or write, or take an action, or draw or produce an image, as a result of processing information that we hear, read, see, feel, then it's called active learning. So let me go back here. If we are doing this, this is not called active learning. We might be processing, but it's not active. But if we write annotations in the book, or we jot down something that comes to our mind while we're reading, or we tell somebody the cause and effect on that page, the talking of the processing, so let's go back, when we talk about it or write about it as a result of the processing of what we hear, read, see, feel, then it becomes called active learning. Active learning is not just fill in the blanks or choose the correct answer. We need to process the information and then talk about it, write about it, do something with it, draw with it, or maybe all four. Then it becomes active learning. Active learning will help us from teacher-assisted into an autonomous independent learning. In the schooling system, the teacher prepares the lesson for the vocabulary from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Not a very good idea. What we need to do is not to explain the words, but to help the student create a processing system of learning new words on their own. And this has actually happened with people I've worked with, where the teacher would walk into the classroom 3 months into the school year and goes to the kids, you know how to learn these new words in your book. start. We are moving from teacher-assisted to autonomous, independent learning. What makes it easy? Because the kids have learned to process. And this is the most important part. How do you process the information is what the students should be learning, rather than here is some information you don't know. Now, let's go to the word student-centered. And I'm saying this based on observation of systematic classroom observation for 300 periods, where I wrote what I was observing through hearing and seeing every 5 minutes for 300 periods. And what I found was this: not many students get lots of learning experience time in a traditional classroom setting. So if we say that the classroom setting time is 50 minutes and we have 25 to 30 students, look what is happening. 2, 3, or 4, and this is from my observation, students are getting learning experience time. How do we get learning experience time? Because they talked to the teacher or wrote something, not filling in exercises. I'm talking about processing information. And most of the other students are getting 1 to 2 minutes of anything at all. So if a student gets only 1 to 2 minutes of experience, and when we say experience, active experience, you've got to talk, write, do something with the information that you're getting from the teacher by creating that design that helps you find the comparison and contrast, etc. Now, if we want to be student-centered, what we need to do is to change this. We need to maximize the learning experience time per individual in a 25 to 30 or even 100 students. So if a learning session is 50 minutes long, that means all the participants, not the students that the teacher calls upon to go to the front of the classroom. Please don't say the rest are listening and paying attention. It's impossible. When I am not doing anything in the classroom, my mind will drift. So the maximum learning experience time would be when most of the students are getting more experience time out of the 50 minutes. And that comes in the design. What is the design? Let's go back to the active, where information is there as a source, and the teacher designs a talking, writing, whatever, to make the student process that information in a certain way. And this would become student-centered, which means everybody, not just the student the teacher is talking to. I will now look at another thing that we do in student-centered. We need to develop their self-management skills so that when they are alone, they can learn. They don't need to wait every time for the teacher to tell them what to do. And I'm talking about self-management, not routine. Here's an example of a jigsaw. The kids have from 1 to whatever number and all these colors. And you say to the kids, sit at the table that has the same color flag as your card color and do the task. So the students with the red cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, will go to that red table flag, etc. And then you say, after 10 minutes, move to the table that has the same number as the number on your card. Tell each other what you did at the color table. This is jigsaw, but they are developing reasoning and management skills. How do you manage 25 students without telling every individual where to sit? They need to learn management skills, and this is just one of them in the jigsaw pattern. Another thing is called interaction. For it to be student-centered, the interaction is not between teacher and student, because the moment we have an interaction between teacher and student, we have left out everybody else. I'm not saying the teacher shouldn't talk or give feedback, but the teacher is not the center of the learning. The teacher is the manager and designer of the learning. So for example, here is and it doesn't have to only be work for high grade level. It can work as low as kindergarten, and that's something we've already done. For example, this kid is saying to the other kid, I will show you 2-word cards. Say the 2 words. And this kid says, okay. Now, all the kids are working like that in pairs, not just these 2. And this kid puts the two words, and this kid will say, the mall. And this one will say, correct, your turn. So the social language is built into the tool. You cannot teach social language. You need to develop social language. And we have lots of videos where kids in Saudi Arabia in public schools are going, correct, your turn. They are developing these social skills between each other. The third one is the tasks have to be stepped. If you want to reach classification, you don't just jump in and tell people, classify this. You need to build the scaffold or the steps. So in order to scaffold in student-centered, you need, as a teacher, to design something like this. The brain needs to compare and contrast what it is that needs to be classified first. Second, the brain needs to identify what it is that stands out from the others that it compared and classified. Then third, the brain needs to match what was identified to other groups that are similar, and then the brain can put the item in the right category. Again, it doesn't have to be very difficult. Look how easy it can be. If we tell the kids, you read the words up and down, and you keep asking yourself, which words are the same, which words are different, which words are the same, which words are different. Do that. What is your brain doing? Notice we did not use the word compare and contrast. We need to speak friendly English. Which words are same, which words are different? And your brain is actually comparing and contrasting these words. When you find the ones that stand out, we say that your brain has identified. Now, once your brain has identified, we match that sister to another group, and then we are able to classify. So it's not that difficult. Now, don't just give it to the students. We need to scaffold it for them by giving them steps. Don't just go, well, here's a very nice task, go ahead and do it. Some will be left out. Don't just build lists for the students. Help them build concepts on the wall. So for people who are teaching in inquiry-based schools, it would be excellent to put the big idea question, the small idea, the weekly questions, and the students can start to write their ideas, their notes, and what they're finding. Now we have a lot to talk about. We are building a concept and not just making lists. So what is the way forward? Design learning, stop teaching. You are no longer required to be present for information to be transmitted. Your job is to design how people will learn. Make tasks that allow students to process information sources through talking, writing, taking actions, and drawing images. So as you spend the time going through the first day of the conference and the second and the third, keep thinking, the information, how do we make students learn? So the teachers are not just going to say, choose the answer. That is not a learning. How do you ask them to do things that help them choose the correct answer? And the time is up, and I would like to say thank you to everybody who was listening. I will check your chat and see anything I can answer. And if you want to contact me or watch my TEDx talk, this is my my information page. And I would like to say thank you, everybody. I did not go overboard too much. I think I went overboard like 1 minute. If there is anything I can do or answer right now, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Eli. Now,
who am I here? Yes.
Yeah.
Hala?
Thank you, Eli. Are there any questions there?
If anybody would like to ask a quick question, or they can address them to the conference, and then maybe we can take all the questions and then send emails to everybody.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Eli, so one final question. So,
Don't make it too tough, okay, Hala?
No. So, Eli, do you think that Now, in this post-era of COVID-19, all schools are resorting to online learning. Do you think that this will last and this will be a kind of substitution for the traditional learning at schools? Do you think that students will no more need their physical attendance at schools?
The disadvantage of the online are few, but they are essential. We are social beings. We need to physically hear the timbre of the voice. We need to feel the magnetism of other people. Being alone in front of a two-dimension computer screen does not replace the three dimensions that our eyes see and experience in a physical setting. The same goes with the audio. Hearing a person talking to you live is much different than listening to the same person through a speaker. And the third part, which I am always afraid about online learning, two things: lecture, and the second problem is clicking correct answers. The hand has got to move. We as physical people, and this is why I don't recommend technology for children, especially in kindergarten, because children have to feel texture. Children have to feel resistance of a pencil. Children have to feel the weight of gravity. And this is what develops the neuron connections in our mind. Looking at the two-dimension tablet does not do that. However, that doesn't mean we cannot have storage on an electronic device. But we need to start looking at how do you design a learning experience rather than what is the technology we're using. Don't praise the technology, praise the educational design.
Thank you so much. So inclusive as usual. We were so happy to have you, Layla. Please accept our appreciation on behalf
Thank you
of
very much for attending. And it was an honor to be with you. As I told you before, you know, when we've met many, many moons ago, I hope that we will have more cooperation with the team. The team is fabulous. The way they work together. I can't find the words to tell you how much I appreciated the way you guys came together as a group, and I tried to be part of it as much as I can with the pressure I'm under at the moment. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. And now let's welcome our second speaker, Jelena Dirmitrijevic from Belgrade. Hi, Jelena, are you there?
Yes, can you see me?
Yes, yes. Oh, okay, where are you? Can you open your camera, please?
Yes, I'm opening. Now you can see.
Oh, hi. Hi. It's great to have you, Jelena.
Good
the
to
mic
have
is
you.
yours. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miniawi. Today, my topic is reflective spaces online as our guide through VUCA changes in organizational life. And I will guide you through how system psychodynamic organizational consulting contributes to organizations and individuals, and how the Freudian traditions hand in hand with the decades-long knowledge of systems can explain the changes we are facing. What insights, what tools can they give us in the new organizational life that comes with the new normal? And these come from three perspectives. Firstly, from systems perspective, we as organizational consultants make use of the vast knowledge from open systems theory. Then psycho comes from psychoanalytical, as in Freud's work and some later theories, object relations theory. And this helps us understand the unconscious forces that are at play in organizations and that can hugely impact their functioning. Dynamics not just the dynamics of a person in an organization or society, but also the dynamics inside the person, intradynamics. As you can see, organizational consultants rely not only on behavior, but also on emotions as data, including our own feelings. And what is also interesting to mention is that the whole field of system psychodynamic actually developed in circumstances that are somewhat similar to the COVID crisis. During the World War, some of the psychoanalysts from the Tavistock Clinic explored how temporary organizations function, with the aim of, one of the aims was to rehabilitate mentally traumatized soldiers. So let's see, what challenges are we facing now? We can go back to the previous slide, please, to see what is the new normal now. Changes. We sometimes perceive them as exciting, but sometimes changes are threatening. Now they seem to create a constant disturbing uncertainty, not just about the present, but also about the future in both organizational and in private life. And in the business world, these changes are usually referred to as VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And what happens when we encounter these VUCA changes? To explain our reactions, system psychodynamic tradition uses concepts of paranoid, schizoid, and depressive positions. And I know these terms might sound scary, but they are not in any way related to diagnosis. And first, the paranoid schizoid position is related to the earliest phase of human development. In this phase, we tend to split everything into black or white. We treat everything either as bad object or a good object, while the depressive position is considered to be more mature. In this position, we are able to overcome, to integrate the splitting between good and bad, and to accept that something that we might perceive as bad might have some silver lining to it. And from the psychodynamic point of view, when the pandemic broke out, we regressed to paranoid schizoid position due to the splitting that was created by numerous conflicting issues, opposing polarities. For example, the pandemic forced us to stay at home while the economy drives us out to go out to work. And due to the importance of these challenges, which were difficult to process, we experienced a lot of anxiety. And the resilience is when we are able to successfully contain this anxiety and move to a more mature depressive position and stay in it as long as possible. So to have in mind both life and the economy. So what is the new normal now? At the onset of the pandemic, more attention was paid to the physical hygiene. And now mental hygiene grows in importance, and it will grow even more as we are dealing with VUCA changes. On the organizational level, of course, it will be increasingly important to pay attention to mental well-being of employees by building resilience within the organization. And what can we say about the new normal in the future? How the future will look like? Well, the present level of uncertainty and the complex set of systemic factors makes it really hard for us to imagine the new normal. But it is important to make sense of it. And this is why we are doing it here all together at this conference. And this is actually also the purpose of reflective practices. And it is also the reason why I both personally and professionally very thankful for this online space to share our thoughts and experience. A word about reflective practices. Finally, we come to the right slide. So given that resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, to make organizations flexible enough, adaptable enough for this VUCA world, they have to have good enough boundaries, boundaries that are neither too hard nor too soft. And this term good enough is really filled with meaning in psychodynamic tradition, but what it crucially conveys is a steady relation, a steady contact with a real objective world, with reality. And this is in connection with the depressive position I previously mentioned. And we can achieve that by implementing reflective spaces in our organizations as bridges between the unthinkable and well thought out. So during the pandemics, they can be virtual spaces, but along with this physical boundary, they do have a time boundary as well. Group sessions usually last a certain amount of time. And what is characteristic of them is that there is no urge for action there, but there is a need to sit with what might be hard for us, to sit with our thoughts, our emotions, memories, experiences, both in the present and in the past. And this requires a good holding environment where people can recall their past experience, to integrate it with new pieces of experience, and also to build on the experience of others. So reflective spaces are also neither meetings nor brainstorming sessions, but they are not opposites of action. I would say they are the route, the right way to a smart, sustainable action. They are also one of the essential tools system psychodynamic organizational consultants use to help individuals, teams, and whole organizations to stay focused on overcoming VUCA challenges. So how reflective spaces help? First of all, they are good containers. In psychodynamic terms, containment is the capacity to internally manage troubling thoughts, feelings, behaviors. And this containment helps us deal with various emotions. For example, losses that COVID brings. For example, not just the lives, but also our way of working, our way of living, familiarity with the present, and also certainty of the future. And this integration of emotions helps the transition from paranoid schizoid to depressive position. And on the organizational level, reflective spaces help us contain anxieties that arise with tasks. As you may have noticed in your organizations and countries, societies, as I have in mine, anxieties have been very high these past few months. And when they cannot be contained, controlled, the group is not able to complete its task. It operates under one of what we call basic assumptions. And when the containment is sufficient in the group, then the task can be completed, and such group is what we say in the work group mentality. We use these terms work group mentality and basic assumption mentality to explain how groups can achieve their purpose with regards to the anxiety that arises with every task. Of course, this is a bit simplified as groups operate simultaneously in both these contrasted ways. And also reflective spaces tend to foster self-reflection as means of regulating our own anxiety. And also reflection helps the group to get into this work group mentality. Second thing is that people can get a clearer picture of what is going on, not just in the organization or in their role or what the real task is, but in the wider context as well, with their colleagues in wider society. They do get a realistic view from a depressive position. And fruitful impact of depressive position is that they are not passivized, they are not stuck in the situation. And people who are engaged in reflective practices in organization, they can act, they can contribute with their ideas and their new initiatives. So reflective practices can bring about new, well thought out decisions and smart directions. At this point, people usually do not follow leaders who promise them certainty, but choose those leaders who can acknowledge the uncertainty and still are able to move forward. The added value of reflective spaces is that they are a kind of a highway for open communication, not just on cognitive, but on emotional level as well. Emotions are not bottled up, they flow freely, and they are controlled in a good container with a good enough boundary. I'm sure you are by now aware how reflective spaces bring powerful changes for the better into your professional practice. And let's see in the next slide, please, how they are related to resilience. Good enough leadership and organizational culture is important. We now know more than ever, and we now more than ever need leadership, which understands the underlying dynamics in organizations and teams, and also within themselves, and that they understand that leadership is a process, a dynamic in complex adaptive systems. So good enough leadership can strengthen cognitive resilience, and I dare say other types of resilience as well. Agility is also important, being ready for VUCA changes and challenges, also keeping your mind open, thinking outside the box, and this enhances behavioral resilience. One good strategy to achieve that is to remind yourself and your team of your past successes, and of course dare to experiment to achieve the new ones. Social connection is also important. It is important to bring supportive organizational structures, which are essential for building emotional resilience. So now the challenge is how to establish reflective spaces online. And I had experience with various virtual reflective spaces this year. We can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. As I said, I had experience with various virtual reflective spaces. So from my experience, here are a few suggestions on how to build them. I will share this one particular experience I had with an applied psychodynamic online group that Jelena Consulting held online, because this group proved to be a valuable source in overcoming COVID challenges for groups, approximately 90 participants so far. We started it since the onset of the pandemic in Serbia. My colleague Jelena Tasić-Plećeš and me, together as Jelena Consulting, we started a pro bono business support group on Zoom, which was based on reflective practice. And what I believe it was important for its success were the rules that enabled us to have good enough boundaries and also to achieve better containment of feelings that arise. Of course, these new rules had to be adapted to the virtual world. But what is also important is safe space and to give opportunity to participants to exchange their experience and to reflect. This helps a lot in sense making, also improves mutual solidarity and understanding of different perspectives. And in these groups, these safe spaces, participants can express all their frustrations and fears related to work and the uncertainty they are currently facing. So they are without the fear of disapproval or being fired, for example. These groups also operate on the basis that there is no ready-made set of questions. The emphasis is on associations, open conversations that follow the stream of emergent topics. In such groups, typically emotions quickly come up to the surface, as majority of participants are brave enough to share. And the process is directed towards integration of these emotions and towards connectedness. What we do in the group is integrate polarities, those polarities I mentioned before that emerged with COVID pandemics. Vulnerability is also one of the important things to emphasize. It is encouraged and praised, but the accent is always on the inner permission of person to share. As we know from our own experience, when we tell someone how to think and what to feel, it's not the same as when we are facilitating a process of learning through experience. This way, by reflection and learning through experience, participants of the group achieved an increased capacity for tolerating frustrations at work and therefore gained more resilience. So the results on the next slide are enhanced digital collaboration. Some of the members connected with each other on social networks and at work as well. All the participants showed solidarity with people who lost jobs or lost a colleague, a friend, or even a family member due to COVID. There was a lot of thinking out of the box. We had some concrete ideas. They were shared on how to improve business in these particular circumstances. And then the ideas were tested and even implemented over several months' time. We also got an improved understanding of participants' different business roles and situations. And because the participants were connected with each other at a deeper level than the one they have become used to at work with their colleagues or their bosses. And of course, listening to other people's perspectives and experience has a healing effect. Participants learn that they are not alone. They are not the only ones who are feeling a certain way. And instead of the conclusion, I would like to offer a few strategies I think would be very useful for reflective spaces online and building back a resilient recovery. Trust and tolerance, these are on the next slide. Trust and tolerance are important. It is important to have it and to build it online. Micromanagement is not so helpful. We need good enough leaders who address our sense of meaning. We do not really need motivation now. Motivation comes from our instinct to survive. But what you need is to make sense and have a sense of meaning. Contained, I already mentioned, managing our inner feelings, behaviors, thoughts. And it is also important to make reflective spaces regular. And this will also help to implement what we have on the next slide, good social structures, which are built into the organizational structures so that we get support from both the colleagues and the C-suite. And I would also put emphasis on prevention. So we need to pay attention to digital fatigue and also prevent the burnout. I call it burnout 2.0, obviously because pandemics adds amounts of stress that are unbelievable. As the last suggestion is the thing that we should acknowledge that the change is inevitable, and this simple truth is the basis for resilience. Thank you all for listening and for your time. Follow us on social media, and thank you so much for having us.
Jelena, thank you so much. Indeed, I've enjoyed your talk so much, and yeah, we need a kind of reflective thinking now. We need more of self-awareness, and then after that we can just expose our feelings to others to get support and change. Of course, we have to accept that what is after COVID-19 won't be the same as before the crisis, but together we can survive indeed. Thank you so much. And I see some questions. Would you like to choose a question and answer?
Or you can help to read some of the questions, please, Dr. Miniawi.
Yes.
Please.
Would you like to choose some of the questions?
I can't see them in the chat right now, but perhaps you could help me read them, please.
Okay, okay, sure. Yeah, all in all, they are thanking you so much, and they just want you to summarize 2 or 3 advices just to maintain the psychological health that we are aiming at during this recovery period of COVID-19.
2 or 3. Okay, first acknowledge our feelings, then accept them as they are. But third one, try not to stick to them for too long. I think this is all something that all leaders should be aware of. And also I think it is important not to rush into action. It is important to reflect and make sense. And also I think it's also important to insist on good practices and recall our past experiences, especially when we were resilient towards some change. And another thing, make some little steps and to build routines and try to get back the cyclicity of the life that we had before. Build the routines, healthy habits, then build some structure that we lost during COVID. And yes, of course, pat yourself on the back and your team when you've done a good job, yeah. Whichever small step it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Whatever we hear from you, I feel it's not enough. Maybe inshallah, we will meet in other conferences, Jelena. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now let's welcome our speaker, Canan Piskin.
Hello, good afternoon, Dr.
Hi,
Hala.
Canan, how are you?
Thank you.
I suppose you are podcasting from UK.
Indeed, yes, I'm from,
Yeah, okay.
I'm in UK now. So I'll be.
The mic is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen so that you will be able to see. There you go. I think it's all fine. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will be talking about how to grow our mental muscles to thrive in these challenging times. So let me introduce myself. I'm Jelena Piskin, originally Turkish. I lived in Turkey, UAE, in Azerbaijan, and now resident in UK. I have extended my business to UK. I have worked for 20 years, more than 20 years, in global banks like HSBC, BNP Paribas, Societe Generale, mainly in risk management, operational risk, and that's part of the sphere. And now for 5 years, I'm helping executive women to succeed in their lives, in their business lives, and also live a harmonious life in their personal sphere. I am a graduate of MBA from Warwick Business School and economics degree from Middle East Technical University, and Marshall Goldsmith Stakeholder Centered Coach, and also trained by Shivzat Shamin, the Positive Intelligence methodology developer. I'm in love with, I'm a student of ballet and adult ballet classes, and also in love with visual arts. And here you can see I'm pro bono coaching to nonprofit organizations, especially for women, their development, and also other spheres that the founders are generally women. Today, we will be talking about mental fitness. The definition is, the mental fitness is your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive mindset rather than getting exhausted and stressed. Why? The result is because the impact on our performance, like high achieving athletes, executives in corporate life, or peace of mind, kind of wellness that you have in your lifestyle. And as a result, you have healthy relationships, not only in your personal life, but also the relationships you have with your stakeholders in the business life, in your corporate life. In order to climb a mountain, you have to be fit on climbing the hills. Nowadays, we have a mountain in front of us, the pandemic, the economic crisis that is a result of this pandemic. And we can't blame the mountain. We have to get fit to climb the mountain. So we will start practicing climbing the hills. And this practice will be via the positive emotions like curiosity, creativity, laser focused working. And how you get to the, once you get to the, over the mountain, you will not be worn out, and you will be more excited to climb other hills or mountains that is going to be coming in front of you. And you will just say, oh, these hills are just piece of cake. I have already done this in a bigger mountain like pandemic or whatever crisis you have went through in your life. I'm sure it's not the first time you're coming across this kind of a big crisis in your life. And my invitation for you today is to, rather than waiting this pandemic to get over, get on your life, get excited climbing the hill, and get excited with the mental fitness muscles so that you can change your life and serve for yourself for the rest of your life. There's a whole lot of science at the back of this pragmatic definition, but I just wanted to have you a kind of an image of what is possible when you are fit, mentally fit. The science behind this program, this positive intelligence, is laying on these sciences that we already know: the positive psychology, neuroscience, cognitive psychology, and performance science on athletes or other sports, we can say. And positive intelligence research is based on these sciences and also merging the research that has been done with hundreds of CEOs, athletes, Stanford students, world-class athletes, I said, and 500,000 people all around the world from 50 countries. And research has summarized you can find more details about this research on the New York Times best-selling book by Shirzad Shamin that is called The Positive Intelligence, and it is translated into 20 different languages. And the key source behind this research is the power of factor analysis. The root of all colors is only 3 colors, you can say. That is red, blue, and yellow. The root cause is going to the root of all our issues we have on our positive thinking or negative impacts on our positive thinking. And it results in radical simplification of the process. And what we have, there are 3 muscles we are working on this with positive intelligence: the saboteur interceptor, the sage power, and taking our self-command. And case studies have showed on this research has shown 35% increase on the performance of the teams. Sales team has reported 37% higher sales compared to the control group. And people are reported they are living happier lives, and they have become 3 times more creative than before. And people lived longer, and it's a long research you can see. And the Stanford students who has been part of this research, they call this as a Jedi training, as you might have been familiar with from the Star Wars. As you can recall, there is constant war between the Jedi and the Darth Vader. And the saboteurs we have are agents of self-sabotage. And our sage part is your inner Jedi. So I just went through all these. These are the 3 mental muscles we will be working on. The research showed that, and all the science I have mentioned a few minutes before, we have 2 organs in our brain, where our saboteurs are living and where our sage part is living. We have 10 saboteurs in our saboteur side that is living on the left-hand side of our brain. That's the survival brain. And it motivates us through negative feelings like fear, stress, shame, guilty, anxiety. And they might provide you success, but not happiness. The sage part of our brain is our right-hand side. And we have 5 powers, sage powers in our sage part. That is called our empathy, our creativity, our laser focused thinking. These 5 powers are all required for high performance, even in sports or our business or what we are doing in our personal lives. And they motivate us with positive feelings like empathy, curiosity, creativity, passion, purpose. And they provide high success and sustained happiness. Here you can see either saboteurs or sage can provide you a success, the same target you would like to achieve, but the impact are not same. The happiness so short if you are motivated or if you are pushed by saboteurs. The happiness is very short. It just lasts for 5 minutes. You just reach the top of the mountain, and after 5 minutes, you are stressed for the next mountain. You don't feel that happiness. And when you are moving, when you are pulled by your sage power, the happiness you get is more sustained, and you are getting more excited for the coming hills or mountains because you're enjoying the game or enjoying the ride, let's say. Let's talk about our 3 core muscles that we would like to strengthen to have a better positive mindset, a better positive intelligence, let's say, like going to a gym and we just do our exercises periodically, little by little, every day, or 3 times a week, let's say. We don't go and spend hours and get fit at the same time. Here we go. We have 10 saboteurs. The master saboteur is our judge. We all have judge. I have judge, you have judge, my spouse has judge, my friend, everyone has judge. The judge has 3 modalities. The first one is the self-judge. That is the inner critic that wakes you up 3 a.m. in the morning and say, you idiot, you couldn't manage to do it. How come do you think you are going to manage this? How come you are going to succeed it? That's the inner judge talking. And the second type is the others judge. It is always that judge is always finding what is wrong with other people. She's too lazy. She's so dumb. She's too that. She's too what. There is always constant search for what is wrong with other people. And the third one, maybe most of you are not familiar with it or not aware of it, is the judge about circumstances and the situations. What we are going through right now, it's a pandemic. And you are always finding something wrong with the conditions or circumstances. Oh, there is the pandemic. So when this judge is active, you are always, the judge is saying that you can't be happy. Once the pandemic is over, you will be fine. Once you have that car, you will be happy. Once you achieve it, you are, until that changes, until these circumstances change, you can't succeed, you can't be happy, blah, blah, blah. So we might have one of these judges, but we all have these judges. And the judge is helped by our saboteurs. And we have 9 accomplice saboteurs. And not everyone is having similar saboteurs. We have different dominance of saboteurs with ourselves. And there's an online assessment that you can find out in 10 minutes which ones are your dominant saboteurs. Here, this is an example of a vice president of a company, Sarah. And Sarah has 3 top saboteurs. When we are working with her, we just concentrate on the top 3 saboteurs, how to manage them, so that the rest of the saboteurs will take care of themselves. We don't have to worry about these. Here you can see stickler, hyperachiever, wrestler, pleaser, controller, and whatever. And it's not bad that you have a saboteur. Everyone has, and everyone has a different dominance, as I said, but it is better to know about them and what to do with them. As a result of this test, you will be receiving a report of not only the grading, but a kind of a description of what these saboteurs look like, what the lies they are telling you. I'm saying lies that are telling you not to do, not to act, not to move, not to think positively. So that these descriptions will help you to label, oh, that's the saboteur now on stage. It's like a wanted posters you can see in the Western films. You see how to find the criminals. So these descriptions will help you to distinguish your saboteurs and stop there. And the next, our sage part, the one that is living in the right-hand side part. Our sage is associated with our positive emotions. They create peace and calm, and that's helping us to more clear-headed focus, that we can have more wiser, let's say, actions we can create for ourselves. And it has creativity in it, and you are able to look for a bigger picture. So what else would you be needing for a success, either in your business or your personal lives? And the sage perspective is operating from with sage powers. These powers, as I mentioned, are empathizing, exploring, innovating, navigating, and activating. Are negative emotions good for you? Okay, let me ask another question. Is pain good for you? You might say, yes. You put on your hand on a hot stove and you are burned, and you can say, yes, it's good for me. I would feel the hotness of the stove and I would take my hand over from it. If I didn't feel the pain, I would keep my hand over it and I would burn to my bones. Okay, let me ask another question. How long would you like to live on pain? The answer is just 1 second. In 1 second, you get the signal, okay, there's danger, I have to move on. Like you are in this pandemic, you have to be stressed, you have to be panicking at the beginning of the pandemic, otherwise you will not be taking any healthy precautions for yourself, for your family, for your business partners, let's say, or you are in the middle of a very serious project and the project is not going well and you are not panicked. You should be, otherwise you should take, you will not be taking the control of the project. It will go spiral into a negative result and more negative results. So when you take an action, you will be taking the control of the project and lead its way to a success level that you were estimating, let's say. And now, which perspective is true? The saboteur says, this is bad, bad, bad. You want to stay there. Or the sage says, this is a gift. There is opportunity. Like in this pandemic, I'm an executive coach. I was coaching one-to-one people in their offices. Now, as I moved from Azerbaijan to United Kingdom, I continued my sessions during via Zoom. And then in the meantime, the pandemic has started. So we had to shift all the sessions to via Zoom, and it has become a new normal. So I will be able to reach out to my clients wherever they are in the world. I don't need to be limited, physically limited to the clients that is in my neighborhood or proximity to London, let's say. Now it has created a gift. So which one is true? Whichever you believe becomes true. Whichever you want to invest in, you want to move. So the third power that we were talking about are self-command, our ability to move from saboteur to sage. Now I will do kind of a demonstration for you how to move from saboteur to sage. These are made by through our application that takes 15 minutes a day, that is distributed during the day, let's say, which is in strengthening your insights about saboteurs and moving your ability from saboteur to sage mind by doing PQ reps, positive intelligence quotients, I mean. If you let me, just in 10 seconds, see how your brain will move to a different state. Take a deep breath. You may feel like closing your eyes and touch your fingers to each other in such a tension that you are feeling the ridges of your fingers. Concentrate on what you are sensing, on your touch sensation. Now concentrate on the farthest noise you are hearing. Maybe an airplane moving or the upstairs neighbor. Now hear the closest noise you are hearing. Maybe the earplug in your ears. Okay, now back to our conference. Did you see the calm and peace in your mind? And if you had an MRI on your brain, you would be seeing how silent your saboteur side, the left-hand side of your brain was, and how active your sage side, that is the creative one, that is creating the solutions, the activities for yourself. So this is the simple truth, simple practice we are doing on our positive intelligence program. And feel free to learn more about this methodology. So let me summarize. Saboteur interceptors, intercept your saboteurs, know your sage power, and increase your self-command from moving from saboteur to sage. And as a gift for today's audience, I would like to share our how you are self-sabotaging yourself, the free assessment that you have just seen about the Sarah, the vice president of the person. You can take the assessment in the website, and you can receive the results to your own email address that you will be mentioning at the end of the assessment. And you can book a complimentary session with me to make a strategic plan for your mental fitness. Here is my contact details, and I'll be sharing it in the chat box in a few minutes' time as well. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for being part of this conference. Let me stop.
Thank you, Jelena. Thank you so much. Thank you. In fact, you have taken us in a journey into ourselves, and that was wonderful. And yes, indeed. Would you like to choose a question or an answer?
Oh, thank you. I hope you all enjoyed it. About enough, is it for me, the enough containment?
No, the containment was for
the previous one.
Yeah.
Love this. I could not see any questions. They are just saying thank you, insightful. Is there another place that I can check other than the chat box?
That's it.
No,
that's it.
So, I think it was clear enough, and this is what I can give in 20 minutes time.
Yeah.
So I'll be sharing the details, and any further questions, I'll be happy to connect via LinkedIn or through my connection details. And thank you for organizing this beautiful event and giving me this opportunity to share my gifts, let's say.
Thank you so much. Indeed, we need this kind of compassion, support, and we need to show empathy for ourselves, more self-awareness, and just to, you know, stick to the points of strength in our inner personalities. So let's get in more touch with our inner selves. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm closing my video.
Thank you. And now let's come let's welcome Dr.Teri Baydar. Dr.Teri, are you there?
I'm here.
Hi. Hi. It's wonderful to meet you.
Nice to see you too.
Yes, the mic is yours.
Okay, thank you. Is the sound good? Okay. So let me see. And you've given me screen share? Yeah, let me see. Okay, 1 second, please. Let's go back here. Sorry. There we are. And we're off. All right. Thank you, beautiful people, for being here. I am Dr. Teri, and my plan here today is to help you understand how changing your mind can change your agency in the world and change the world. I'm going to try and do two things. First, I'm going to try to create an understanding of what is this expanded awareness. And then I'm going to try to put the fire in your belly so that you can go out and find your place in this healing that's happening and this big reset that's happening. All right, let's see. So I'm going to share my screen here. It's evening there and it's early. And here we go. Share and play. Are we good? I hope so. So there's a natural cycle to life, and Mother Nature knows what she's doing, but we create cogs in the wheel of the balance and harmony of the ecosystem of life on Earth with our pursuits of so-called happiness. This misunderstanding is, of course, of all the mishaps and mistakes and failures that brought us here to this place of planetary ecosystem in distress, the loss of biodiversity, social and economic inequity, disease, wildfires, and other ecological and economic disasters. Just think of the water on this planet. It is the same water that has been there forever, that all of us have used and discarded in many ways. It is as ancient as the earth, older than humanity itself, and we're corrupting the cycle. Did you know that bees are going extinct because of our interventions? We are the problem. Not that we set out with the intention to degrade or disrespect our home or each other. We just have not grown up enough as a species to have the open minds and generous hearts required We don't understand the ecosystem, and we need to find our proper place within it. All of our present world issues spring from us, from the state of our minds and our hearts. We create this kind of negative disruption because we are not being in alignment with what Mother Nature is telling us. We have gone too far. So what happens when too many parts of the ecosystem are disrupted? It all comes tumbling down. So how do we get with it? I mean, get with it in a healthy way. We start with learning to understand our minds and motivations to consciously change the way we do things. And the previous speaker, Jana, did a great job talking about this. There are two basic ways of thinking, doing, and being. The first and most common that we all use most of the time is based in division, fear, and selfishness. I call this war consciousness. It is a state of awareness based in the idea that you and I are different, opposite, competing. One must win and one must lose. Us versus them. From this mindset, we seek to capture, contain, and control everything and everyone. From this place, we each think, how can I use this situation to serve my interests? How can I use this person to benefit me? How can I get as much out of this as possible and give as little as possible? Am I better than or less than this person? In this mindset, we see others and the resources of the planet as stuff to be used and disposed of when we no longer want them. Now, the second state of awareness, your sage power, is based in the reality of the innate interdependence on one another and the ecosystem of the planet. This state of consciousness I call love consciousness. Here we are connected to the humanity of ourselves and each other in a deeper way. We care. We try to comprehend. We act with thoughtfulness and compassion. When we are in love consciousness, we are thinking from a right brain perspective of multivariable data points and long-term vision of impact. We choose creative solutions over quick fixes, deep understanding over shallow concerns. This mindset is the place where innovative solutions and great scientific discoveries happen. Outside of the box of reductionist left brain thinking, counting, and aggregating, there is a more spacious place that we all need to visit more often and intentionally develop. This is love consciousness, an awareness of the interdependence and connectivity of all things on this planet. Here, we think long-term. We slow down to do things well. We have vision and strategy. We connect in a deeper way with others. We break the paradigms of obsolete, petty, selfish ways of doing. Here, we make progress to solve problems that war consciousness and quick fixes have brought us. This is the mind space for solving the big problems that we are facing. No problem is solved at the level of awareness it was created. In order to solve those problems, we need more people with a high level of awareness. That means you too. Business structure trends are shifting from a step on the other guy way of hierarchy to a cooperative hierarchy. New systems and business models are emerging in this trend towards respecting our planetary home and one another. Some great examples are the circular economic model, the no waste movement, and even crowdsourcing. Even this fabulous conference with diversity and everybody chipping in to make it work. What we need most right now is everyday, ordinary leaders in business and government that can embrace and cultivate this higher state of awareness called love consciousness. This higher, more expanded, more complex, more caring mindset allows the space for the individual to see the bigger picture, to find better ways to create services and products for the greater good. This is nothing new. It is just something rare that we need more of in this new world, more than ever. Our innate interdependence is becoming more and more apparent, and in some cases deadly, like the pandemic. In order to change the current of who we are being as a species, it is essential to change our minds. Let your heart teach your brain. By changing our minds together, we can create new ways of doing. In this new world where we are all looking to pivot and reset, ask yourself, what choices will I, my communities that I participate in, the governments where I have a vote, where I have something to say, and the companies where I have something to say, what choices will we make moving forward? Will you choose to think in terms of defeating others and just winning for yourself? Or will you think about long-term value and make decisions and create products to heal and make the world a better place for everybody? Mother Earth knows what she's doing. She has systems within systems that regulate and balance all of the ecosystem within which we live. She's got it covered. She doesn't need us. As a species, we create systems too. We create systems of how we work together and or use one another and the planet. These systems emerge from the mindset of who we are being as we create those systems. How will you expand your mind to be the change you want in this new world? And here I'm going to just share this.
We live in systems, ways of doing, that we have all inherited. Some are privileged, some are oppressed, some heard and seen, some silent and invisible. But history is changing, it's dynamic. We all have the opportunity to participate in picking up the pieces. We all have the opportunity to shape the systems and processes of this new world. Where history goes from here on out is up to you. We can find respect and give it to. We can create prosperity and give it to. We can find peace and give it to. We can find love and give it to. There is room to be, do, and have better. The undercurrent of life naturally reaches for harmony and variety. We all benefit from this world we live in, which means we're all accountable for this world that we live in. Everybody is somebody who can make a difference somewhere. To be a better somebody, to have a bigger impact, start with yourself. Look inward for peace so that you can give it to the world. Discover your own sense of worth so that you can help others find theirs. Have courageous conversations with yourself and others to bring about change. Start small, something you can do with ease, and then build outwards.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I had a few technical difficulties there.
No, Terry, that was wonderful. Indeed, you know, you mentioned something that reminded me of a saying that to survive for us as a human, it's important not to think of ourselves and others as competitors, but rather as pieces of one puzzle. We have to connect to make the picture a whole. And we have to, you know, find ways to find harmony with the world around us. And first to find harmony with ourselves. So your talk was so inspirational, in fact.
Thank you.
And it touched me deep in my heart. And I hope that it has reached all our audience. And in fact, this was the real picture of the aim of this conference. We need to bring more compassion, more positivity, and more ways for people to cope with what we are experiencing now. At the beginning of the conference, I mentioned that a crisis can never change us, no, but it can just trigger either the best of our inner selves or the worst.
Yes.
So let this crisis trigger the best of ourselves, hopefully.
Absolutely.
So would you like to answer some of the questions, Dr. Teri?
Absolutely. Sure. How much time do I have here? Let me be thoughtful.
Yeah, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. I see one there. How can leaders influence this ability to see the bigger picture? Well, I work with a lot of C-suites, and it's sort of not fair because a lot of C-suites get to the place they are because they built themselves from this left brain calculating, capture, contain, and control mindset. And that's what they were rewarded for. And in the meantime, they didn't use the other part of who they are. And that gets left behind. It's kind of like only using one arm and the other one is tied behind your back. for all the time that you're moving up and you're making deals, or you're going up the corporate ladder. And as that's happening, you're forming yourself to be very leaning into that war consciousness, because we got to win. We got to make the deal. And so leaders today are at a crossroads where now we know, and it's clear from the presentations just before me, that we need compassion. We need heart. We need that creative, bright, right brain, the sage powers, all of those things. We need that in our leadership and in ourselves. That means it's like starting from scratch. Do anything you can to educate your heart mind. Do everything you can find. Now, whether that's going into a class with emotional intelligence, developing your sage powers that Jana was talking about, even things that seem silly. I have CEOs and CTOs and CFOs, and I tell them, go say I love you every single day to your wife and your kids, every day, each one of them separately. In that moment, they're like, oh, yeah, I guess I don't really do that. I just figure they know. And I'm like, the exercise of giving, taking care of other people, expanding your sense of who you are in this world, anything you can do. And it might be take on a hobby, coach some kids in their sport, do whatever you need to do. Obviously you can get coached by me, but that's a whole different story. So I hope that answers the question. Leaders influence this ability to see the bigger picture, train yourself, and know and forgive yourself. It's not your fault. Society pushed you there. Our business systems pushed you there. It's not your fault. So you can grow yourself and have compassion with yourself. It takes a little while.
Yeah,
thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Teri.
Thank you.
I hope we will meet in other sessions and other meetings. Thank you so much. And now we will welcome Dr. Layla Bloushi. Dr. Layla, are you there?
Yes, I am. Here we are.
Okay, so the mic is yours.
I don't know, it's praying time, so are we gonna stop for praying or carry on?
It's okay. So yes, that's a good idea, but we will not take a long break. It was supposed to be 15 minutes. So because of, the talks were so inspirational, I couldn't just stop them. We will have a prayer break only for 7 minutes, and then we will come back.
Okay, then I'll see you then.
Okay.
See you guys. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So a break for 7 minutes, and then we will come back with the wonderful Dr. Layla Bloushi. Thank you.
See you
Thank
then.
you, everyone. Dear audience, welcome back. Let's just recap what's been going on in this conference. At the beginning, Eli talked about education and about the new system of student-centered education that encourage developing skills like self-management and cooperation with teams. And then we moved with Jelena to the mental fitness. And then Canan talked wonderfully about types of emotion related to the right and left parts of the brain. And then Dr.Teri took us in a wonderful journey of, self-assessment and how to build that rapport with ourselves and others and reaching that kind of harmony with the world. Now, Dr. Layla, where are you going to take us in this journey? In which
I'm gonna, hi, well, first of all, hi everyone.
Hi.
Thank you, Dr. Hala, for organizing such amazing and wonderful conference. I'm so much thrilled and thankful to God to be part of such wonderful, amazing, beautiful, inspiring team. Where I'm gonna go, I will take you, well, I'm sorry guys, I'm gonna take you back to reality. I'm gonna take you back to the corporate world. I'm the devil person, I'm the mean person, so no left brain, no heart, reality.
Okay. So go ahead, the mic is with you.
Yes, okay. Let's do screen sharing. Here we go. Okay, guys. First of all, my name is Layla, and I'm gonna leave all my contact details toward the end of the session for who would like to contact me. I've been in the training and the corporate world and in the consultancy business for almost like 30 years, 3-0, not 1-3, 30 years. I've worked with several organizations, government, semi-government, and private sectors as well. And I've conducted training all over the globe. So today, I'm gonna give you a beautiful, amazing summary from such a journey that I've been through. I'm gonna change a bit your mindset and shift you from certificates to the competencies and to the Himalaya model, which I'm gonna explain in a bit. Now, if we go and through the agenda today, so we'll start by defining the certificate, that piece of paper that most of us have, or most of the youngsters are looking forward to have. We will be talking about the certificate and why it is needed and why the corporate insisting to have it and what is the history behind this. And also we will be talking about the competencies model and why it is again needed and what is the shift. And then we will conclude our session by talking about the career and the career path. And I'm gonna give you a small journey through one of my experience in the corporate world. So let me start. Most of the people here in this room, they have certificate or seeking to have a certificate. So if we talk about a certificate definition, let me just move my picture so I can read what and I know what you guys looking at. Okay, wait. A certificate is a document that an organization issues to the people who finish certain courses and they sat for the exam and they passed that exam. So this is in a nutshell, what is a certificate. Now, we need to note the following. I'm going to go very quickly because I need to get to the main point of this session. The certificate, and I think most of you guys will agree, so the certificate does not testify the person and does not tell us how much he knows or he really knows the subject that he conducted. Like, you know, I've been teaching in some universities, and when I ask those young people why you are here, why you are in the university, he says, "Doctor, because I want the certificate." And that answer really annoys me. And I don't want to tell you what reactions that I want to take, but really, it's really an annoying answer when you know such person who is in the future gonna build this country or continue building the country and continuing building, you know, will have a family, is sitting in that classroom just for a piece of paper. And some of them will come to me at the end of this session or at the beginning of the day one of the class. "Doctor, can you tell us what's gonna be in the midterm, the final exam?" Hey guys, I did not start. I did not even open my mouth. So as I said, it doesn't testify that the person really knows the subject matter. The certificate does not also confirm the ability of the person to do certain things or to know certain things about the topic. And let me give you a very simple example. After the exam, I asked one of the students, "So tell me, what was the answer, or what did you answer for, what was your answer for question number 1? He said, "What was question number 1? Then I said, "Okay, let's say 1 + 1 equals." He said, "I don't know, miss." Imagine the minute he's out of this exam, vanish. It's really vanished. The information, the knowledge is gone. I don't know where, but it's really gone. So why education and the certificate? Let me take you back in the history, and before the Industrial Revolution, the certificate was not really needed to work in an organization or a corporate world. However, what was needed? Well, the certificate was only needed to teach in university. But what was really needed? The skills. What can you do? Show me what can you do, and I'll employ you immediately. So before the Industrial Revolution and before the corporate world, in the past, main focus was skills. So a document was not needed, which is what we know as a certificate. Now, after the Industrial Revolution, and once we enter the management era, then they started to focus on the management scientist and the development, setting up theories and leadership and so on and what have you. And therefore, people started to market the university and market the knowledge, and we start to ask people, what do you know? Corporate started and the employer started to ask people, what do you know? Or the knowledge part. So far we have the skills part, and then we move to the knowledge part. And the big shift now, the key question is nowadays, and the reality is not about what is knowledge and skills only. I'm not denying the knowledge part, and I'm not deleting it. And I'm not also saying that the skill is not needed, but it is totally different. It's how you as a person can help us, and what can you do in these organizations. So now we're talking about something totally different called competencies. So in a nutshell, competencies is all about knowledge, skills, and attitude. And that's mainly what an organization and an employer looking for in a person. Again and again and again, I'm not deleting the importance of the certificate. I'm not deleting the importance of the knowledge, but I'm saying, are we into that level where we are hiring people with such knowledge and such skills plus attitude? Is the organization, is the universities and the graduates, the outcome of a university, do have that beautiful, amazing combination. So the skill, if we talk about knowledge, knowledge is the general and overall job-related, organization-related information. Skill is all about the related overall, the person needed for that certain job. And now we're talking about the attitude and the behavior, which my previous colleague were talking about, the positive thinking, the being there, being motivated without somebody tapping on their shoulder and saying, please do it, we need your hard work, and so on. He has it in and within. Now, why is the competency is very much important? Definitely, because that will boost the organization productivity, that will increase the organization capability, and that will increase the organization's market value. It's the better skills, better leadership, cross-functional teamwork, higher productivity, improve the morale of the organization and the teamwork as well. More flexible. We need people who are faster, process improvement, and higher quality. Believe it or not, the research shows that the people or an organization who focuses on the competencies, their annual share holders return increased to 15%. And on the other hand, our organization who did not focus on that, they're just like, you know, their income were 10%. I'm gonna go very quick, guys, because of the timing. The definition, and I'm not gonna bombard you with all of this, the definition, and I said all of this earlier, but here is the scientists and what do they say about knowledge, skills, and attitude, or the competencies model. We have Hayes and his definition in 1979. Then we have Spencer, and Harvey and Art. They defined the overall skills that the person needs to do a task. It's the knowledge that the person needs to do a task, and the attitude that he brings around. Let's take you through, you know what, I'm not gonna bombard you with this because there's a lot of information, but let me take you through a beautiful, the Himalaya model. Dr. Hala, how much time I have? Dr. Hala, you left me alone?
No, I just muted myself to give you the chance, you know, just to be.
How much time do I have now?
Yeah, you still have 7 minutes. Go ahead.
Oh, wonderful. So the models, what do we do in the Himalaya model? We take a person, or let me take you through a beautiful journey that I have implemented myself. I was hired by one of the business people in UAE, and he asked me to establish an organization. So to establish that organization, definitely I had to hire people. So what I did, I hired people who are undergraduates, like high school people, certificate holder. And definitely those youngsters, they did not have, you know, the vision and mission, and they did not know anything in life. All what they want is just to work, have a couple of dirhams or coins in their pockets, and spend and enjoy life. So I took them, I'm sorry to use that word, brainwashed them. What I did, I went and I took them through the Himalaya model. First of all, I made them do a beautiful SWOT analysis, which most of you, I think all of you are familiar with, their strengths, weaknesses, and opportunity and threats. And then once we've done that, we started to identify their objectives. What do they want in 5 years, 10 years? What is their mission? What is their vision in life? I did this for each single person that I hired. Then I took them into a next level. I said, guys, this is the organization that we are establishing. This is the vision of the organization. This is where we are, where we want to go. And this is our vision. What we need now is to build a beautiful harmony between your vision and mission and objectives and the organizations, not that only. Guys, United Arab Emirates 2021 vision is to be one of the best government in the whole world. And to be that and to achieve that, we need the best people. And if you are only caring about how much money you have in the pocket, or the type of the car that you have, or the type of the dresses that you wear, or the type of the bags that you are wearing, or the abaya, or the abaya is this, by the way, for the people who are not familiar with our culture, and the watch, then guys, we will never be there. So what I did, after I did the brainwash, and believe it or not, it wasn't easy. The brainwash, it took a lot of time, but they have to believe, first of all, in themselves, and secondly, in their leaders. Yes, and I agree with all the presenters who are before me, the leaders. Education is not easy, but once you let the person love the education, he will feel the value of it, and once he see how it is adding value to himself, then he will be passionate about it. And that's, the first presentation in today's session. So we built that. I linked that with their mission, vision, and so on with the organization level. And then I built it into the local level, which is like, for instance, Sharjah, the state of Sharjah, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, what have you, and the national level. So you, as the smallest person, or there is nobody is like, small, or you are not just a number in the statistic. You are a great value in the nation. Your value will add to the nation, and vice versa. You are adding a huge value, not only to yourself, to society, to your family, and to the nation overall. Now, how to achieve that? We had to have an agency, or call it a coach. So I was coaching them. I was there for them consistently. Definitely such people, those people, youngsters, and they're just finished high school. There will be ups and downs and what have you. But what I did, I was there for them. I was trying to build an organization culture. I tried very much to build a group culture, saying that we are all united and we are all one. And not that only, we are here to build a nation. And from the nation, I get them to think bigger and huge, the world. You as a person on the planet Earth, what is your role in this world? Don't think of, me, my family, or society, or nation anymore. No, think of the world. What can you do? Having a coach or a mentor, therefore the person was very much helpful for them, and it really got them to talk and to express their feelings and their the problems that they facing. And before that, I left that organization for some time now. It has been like almost 2 years now. Believe it or not, till today, people are calling me for advices, for consultancy, and some of them, believe it or not, they become a trainer. Some of them continued their education. Most of them, they continued their higher education, and they started a beautiful, amazing family. So yes, my session is a sum up of what has been said earlier. Education and the mindset and the Mother Nature. It's a continuation. If you believe in the person in front of you, you can do magic. And if that person believes in you as a leader, even if you don't wear the hat of a leadership, he can do magic as well, and you can do magic. But first of all, you need to have a power and authority. So my numbers and my Instagrams and Facebook, are here. I think my number is not there. I'll leave it in the chat room. So yes, that was it.
Thank you so much, Layla. You added another dimension to education, stressing the core of knowledge we all seek, developing skills, and just investigating what we can offer to our country.
Sure. Dr. Hala, before you know,
would you like to answer some of the
question? I just need to say something.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hala, for everything. This is really social responsibility that you're showing to the society and to the whole world. Really, thank you. And I extend my thanks to all my colleagues, the speakers in the sessions.
Thank you. Would you like to choose a question and answer?
Sure.
You have 2 minutes.
I don't want anyone to hate me. Dr. Layla, talk and eye opener. Oh, okay. Thank you. I don't think there is any question. Transformation thoughts. Hangover. I think there's no more. I think there's no question rather than people saying I'm good.
You are. You are indeed.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Can I leave my number, Dr. Hala, in the chat room if that's okay?
Yes, sure. Yes, sure.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Hala. Thank you, people. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. And now let's welcome our speaker, Dr. Dedra Stevenson, American Emirati, and she will be broadcasting from Sharjah. Dr. Dedra, are you there? Yes.
Okay, unmuted now. Now can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. The mic is yours.
Oh, thank you very much. And thanks to everyone who's come before me. It's been an inspiring night. Yeah, I've got some big shoes to fill here. So I'll jump right into it. Let me just grab my PowerPoint presentation. Give me 1 moment to pull that up. And I will do screen sharing. Right, share screen. Yes, share. Can you guys see it? Right. Okay, can you see my PowerPoint presentation now? Great, great. Okay, so we're going to talk about outsourcing creativity. I hope you like what I've got to say about this. I'm going to talk about artists, the artists of the world, and how their situation has been post-COVID. Okay, it might interest you to know that in the UK alone, the creative industries stand to lose a staggering $92 billion this year. That means that creative industries will, hang on a second, I can't see my presentation because of the chat box. Okay, grid, all right. Right, the creative industries will lose double that of the overall economy. Now that means that people in creative industries, just imagine the money that everyone else has lost, creative people have lost double that. Everything you can imagine. That's movie makers, that's art authors, that's painters, sculptors, singers, songwriters, musicians, everything that you can imagine. They have had it double whatever anyone else has suffered. 1 in 5 of those employed in a creative industry, including the 119,000 full-time employees, and 287,000 freelance and self-employed workers are likely to lose their jobs. The results worldwide are equally grim for creatives. In the USA, experts estimate that COVID-19 has caused the loss of 2.7 million jobs and more than $150 billion in sales of goods and services for creative industries nationwide, which ranges from film and fashion to fine and performing arts. Musicians and singers are estimated to be hit hardest, followed by writers and authors, and then actors. Fine artists, including painters, sculptors, and illustrators, are the fifth group most affected by income loss, with an estimated of over 123,000 jobs eliminated and cumulative earning losses of $1.7 million per month. Photographers, listed separately, account for over 390,000 job losses and more than 16 million in lost wages each month. Pre-COVID, it might surprise you to know, in the Middle East was actually considered one of the most happening places in the world for the creative industry. The World Bank in 2017 estimated the creative industries are growing fastest, more than 10% a year in the Middle East. Post-COVID, of course, that's no longer the case. Dubai Culture and LinkedIn have tried to help the situation, and they've signed a memo of understanding to establish cooperation in three main areas: creating educational programs to provide training and learning opportunities for creative professionals, fostering connections and networking to establish global cultural network from Dubai, and developing data and insights for future studies. So that's all really good. At least I think that here in the UAE, somebody out there is trying to help, which is a great thing. Furthermore, Dubai Culture, it will provide learning licenses to the creative and arts industry that enable UAE-based professionals to gain access to courses in two main domains: business management and specialized skill development, and the fields of photography, graphic design, game design, art, product design, fashion, and more. Which means that artists such as myself, it's a lot easier to get a business license now, so that it is possible for places to hire you to provide your artistic services in a meaningful way and be paid for it, which is great because licenses were pretty expensive and now they've become a lot cheaper. That helps us out. Now, losing art forms, what does that mean? I mean, it means that there's a world full of artists out there that have lost so much from this experience, this pandemic, being shut in, that I dare say that, you know, it's had a deep impact, not just on them, but on culture. During the crisis, if you asked individual people, what other than your religious faith has helped you get through this crisis, helped you cope from day to day, I would venture to guess that 9 times out of 10, the answer would be an art form of one variety or another. I mean, if you really are honest with yourself. Netflix, hang on a second, sorry. It's hard to manage the mouse in this situation, isn't it? From binging Netflix films and TV shows, to reading books, to learning how to play a musical instrument via YouTube videos or Instagram videos, or taking a virtual museum tour. And one way or another, art has saved lives by saving sanity. Imagine for a moment what the lockdown would have felt like without them, with no art forms at all to comfort you. Artists, however, are in crisis right now. And if you're looking for them, they appear everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. They're all around. Where were they during the lockdowns? They were singing out of their balconies. They were playing music, you know, to their neighbors. They were posting videos of themselves having concerts, you know, playing their new music videos, or reading chapters from their books, such as authors like myself. They toil on still writing, singing, playing, painting, sculpting, and even acting. You know, we did online acting courses for the Star 2 troupe recently, and the first course was online, available for everyone, and sadly it had to be offered for free. An artist carries on, and even if no one's buying all their art all the time, but my question is, for how long can they carry on with no one to support them? There are people who've been thinking out, these people think outside the boxes all the time, and they have been for decades. If you really think about it, I mean, if you see their faces, these are people who have found another way to do things other than the prescribed way, the way that's been dictated to the rest of society. I mean, artists, they're masters of thinking outside the box. And right there, I've got, if you see my pictures there, for example, there's a little street artist, you know, that was right here in Sharjah that I encountered recently. The lower right-hand corner is my own son, Ibrahim, who is an autistic artist. And we're hoping to get an exhibition for his art very soon, hopefully, because especially for the special needs people, you know, art is soul saving. It literally is a godsend, you know, to be able to express. I don't know how much you know about autism, but it's a communication disorder. Basically, it impairs one's ability to communicate effectively with your world. So art gives people like my son a voice. And there's a tag here, an Instagram tag. I'm going to try to click on it and see if I can get you to the screen here. Oh, look, it worked. Oh, wow. Hang on a second. I'll just play you a little bitty bit of this. Can you, I hope you can hear it. This is my piano tuner.
Sorry, Dedra, but we are unable to hear anything.
Okay, I'm gonna go past that now. Just a second. Okay, back at my session here. But if you want to listen to that entire video, you can click on that link there on my PowerPoint presentation later on. This man who's a piano tuner, plays at concert level. He was playing Love of My Life by Freddie Mercury from the famous band Queen, you know, at absolute concert quality. Artists, look around and you'll find them, making the world around you a little brighter. Sadly, many companies, you know, they do think of having artists as part of their day-to-day thing, you know, activities and events, but they try to get them to make contributions for exposure, taking advantage of how desperate they are to make just enough to continue what they're doing, to make enough to continue doing what they love. True artists are not typical corporate types, you have to remember, and most independent artists are only hoping for a way to make a living. They actually do dream of being rich and famous. All of us do. Every last one of us independent artists. There's not one of us that hasn't thought about it, how wonderful it would be if we became a world famous author or a filmmaker and everybody knew our name. But at the end of the day, they'd consider everything right with the world if they could just pay their bills and buy food. And sadly, the CARIFOR doesn't accept exposure as payment. So what can companies do? Outsource independent artists to work for you as freelancers. Why not? As part of your CSR program, every corporation has got to think about their CSR. You've got an image to look at. I mean, right now, especially the wealthier companies of the world, you know, are not faring so well reputation-wise. Supporting artists to rejuvenate culture and your expression of history. Because it's the artists of your community that are documenting what's really happening. A fresh perspective. Artists are natural innovators and problem solvers. At the end of the day, you're going to want feedback from people like this. Outsourcing their services is less costly than hiring full-time employees, especially now that UAE has made freelance licenses cheaper and easier to get. It's legal now to hire people as freelancers. So why not give an artist a break, give them a chance to make a little bit of money. It's cheaper for you, and allow them to have some freedom of expression with whatever project you have given them to do, at least to some degree. Remember, artists really don't like being put in boxes either. And they could be, and also employees could be positively affected by their presence. If an artist is in tow, doing a project for you, you will be amazed at the effect of the positive energy that will radiate off of that person and will literally infect those who might be sitting behind their desks with dead eyes, you know, who are just there to collect a paycheck every month because they really don't want to be there other than for that. This could ignite a new spirit, a new passion, a new love for what they're doing. You know, just by being around someone who has an artistic spirit. Creative people are fun to have in the mix. Also, what else can companies do? There are some great vetted freelance websites right now available for you to search up whatever talents you need, like Upwork.com and Behance.net. Why not? Here's some other ideas that I had as well. Hire a street artist to paint a company portrait, a songwriter to compose a jingle for an advertisement, an independent filmmaker to shoot a commercial, an acting coach to teach you how to deliver a presentation, or a writer to teach your employees how to better capture readers' attention. Yes? Am I hearing someone? Did somebody, I thought somebody had a question. I heard some voice. I can't really hear you, sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm hearing somebody talk and I'm not really hearing them clearly. Are you hearing me clearly?
Kindly, I request all the attendees to switch off, to mute their mic.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, we will postpone all the questions, just write it on the chat, and then Dr. Dedra is about to finish. We will give her 2 minutes to just answer any questions.
Well, just, you know, that's to pick up where I left off, you know, for example, I'll give you a great example. A certain airline that we all know and love here in UAE, at one point in their history, spent millions of dollars making an advertisement featuring a very popular actress, you know, to talk about their first class services. It was fine for the first class customers, for the less than 1%. But what if they'd hired an independent filmmaker for a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of that kind of money, but it could have been something to speak to the people who actually buy coach tickets. I mean, because these are the people that are the bulk of their income, are they not? You know, I mean, think outside of the box. That's all I'm saying. It could have been much, much better for CSR, for public relations, to take an approach like that. I'm just putting it out there in the universe because It's important to start thinking about stuff like that. There are people out there that can't pay their bills. They don't want to hear about the less than 1%, you know, that can't afford to pay for a first-class ticket on an airplane. Not now. That's part of our new normal. Give a freelancer or an independent artist a chance to work, and you'll show the whole community what a great neighbor you are. Artists are the reason that we are still calm and smiling during this time. If you think about it and search your heart, you know it's true. Isn't it about time to give them something back? Outsource an artist and save your community spirit as well as your company's image. You know, and on a personal level, why not buy from them as well? You know, especially independent artists, you know, buy their books, buy their records, hire them to make films, you know, hire them to write songs, you know, buy their music. Because if we don't support them, if we don't support art right now, we could be making a heavy, heavy dent in what's available for us to watch at the movie theater, or what books are available for us to read when we're feeling lonely and bored, you know, or what great works of art are going to be in the museum of the future when people do virtual tours of the museum and see what our culture was like. What are they going to see? What are they going to see? Just people working to make money, and, you know, and people with no expression, no soul? I mean, is that really what we want to leave behind? You know, so I think that it's a question we really got to ask ourselves now. Are we going to save art? And that's all I've got. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm ready for questions. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Indeed, arts represent, you know, a way of expressing ourselves, whether through writing or music, or through writing, reading books, and of course, your call for saving art is worthwhile. So you have only 1 minute to choose one question and answer it.
Oh, wow. Let's see if there's any. I'm checking the chat now. Right. How can we influence companies to embrace art? Well, see, that's going to take a little bit. Like I gave you a few suggestions. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be big stuff. It could be little things, you know, like run a creativity workshop, for example. I've got one friend who, this is how she's hoping to make a living, you know, by being paid to enter, you know, corporate atmospheres and teach them how to access the creative side of their mind. That's one thing. Also, you could sponsor an artist to maybe, you know, do some paintings or some drawings or some nice photography, you know, for your company. The thing is about them now, a lot of them are willing to do quite a lot for very little money. I don't ever think it's a good idea to take people in and decide to make them work and never offer to pay them anything. I think that's just a shameful thing to do, but I can tell you that even offering something, you know, will be appreciated, you know, at least to cover the cost of the materials and a little bit of their time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, but I'm sure if you sit down and think about it, this guy here, I worked at a company where a CEO was exhibiting his personal art archive and the company's premise. Yeah, okay, well, see, that's a person who appreciated their own art, you know, but what about, you know, bringing in someone like my little street artist, you know, to maybe paint a portrait.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dedra. We have really enjoyed your talk about art.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. And let's move to our speaker, Kirsten. Are you there?
Yes, of course. Hello, Dr. Hala.
Yeah, you are most welcome. And the mic is yours. You have 15 minutes. Yeah.
And I will stick to that, of course. Let me share my screen. So my name is Kirsten. I'm originally from the Netherlands and have been in Dubai for the last 4 years. And by profession, I'm a business strategist and I have my own company. My talk will not be an academic talk, but I actually decided to share my own experiences related to personal and business resilience. And with sharing that experience, I also hope I can help other people in their journey. And yeah, let's give it a start. So when I think of resilience, I always get very, very inspired by nature. Think about, for instance, the resilience of a willow tree or a colony of ants, for example. What strikes me most about resilience in nature is actually the whole process of bouncing back. And bouncing back in nature, it doesn't start with a disruptive event. Actually, it is built in from the beginning. So if you take a look at that willow tree again, it has grown deep roots and also has a certain cellular structure where the tree is actually able to bend with the wind. And that makes it very interesting and also as a parallel to human nature. I do believe that we are built to change and also built to be adaptive. The only thing what happens is actually that we struggle. We often struggle with our emotions because things are not going as we planned or maybe have hoped or expected so. And sometimes even people try to make us a change. And by nature, we usually don't like that. For me, it is the thing that all the energy which you spend on struggling with your emotions, letting like anger, frustration be the strongest in your mind and head, you will lose energy for the things that really matter and also the energy to move on. And I think one of the main struggles and also challenges for me, but maybe also for some or all of you, is actually to create and develop those same roots as the willow tree has, and also have the patience and the resistance to let our natural resilience come to the surface, even when things don't go as planned. Because often also with the crisis we are experiencing right now, we haven't planned that. Nobody, or almost nobody, I would say, has expected a crisis like this, but we still have to deal with that. If we talk about personal resilience, I would like to share really some personal experiences there. And it's not, I'm not doing that so you feel sorry for me, but it's more to also illustrate what certain aspects can do with you and also certain beliefs can do. So let's go back to my own childhood. That was not very recent, but I was born in 1972 in a small town in the Netherlands. And my parents were actually, or my family was like a low income family. I don't have any brothers or sisters. And it was like typical, it was not a typical family in the Netherlands. Both of my parents were not able to work, and they even didn't have a proper social life, meaning home almost 24/7. My mother suffered from polio when she was like a child. And later on, I did understand that that would impact her psychological, but also her physical state. And my dad was much older than my mother. He was actually growing up in the Second World War, in a big family, was super intelligent, but never had the chance to study. And due to a heart condition, he was also not able to work for a long time. You might understand that with that as a background, there were a lot of struggles in my childhood. A lot of misunderstanding because of the generation gap, and also a certain pressure to perform. My dad wanted me to achieve things he never had. like going to university, for instance. What I truly believe in is that intelligence has nothing to do with having a degree in university. Intelligence can also be like being streetwise, or indeed being knowledgeable but don't have a degree. However, my dad thought differently, and one day, I still remember that very vividly, I came home and my dad was like not looking well, and in a kind of conversation he actually forced me to not be in contact with my friends anymore, because all of my friends were not in the same type of school as I was, and probably not up to university. He actually used diseases against me, and you might understand that that truly impacted me, because literally my dad told me, if you go on like this, there will be 2 deaths in this household very soon. Of course that impacts you, but I always had a certain inner drive of things like I wanted to achieve in life. And yes, I had to move on. And I also chose actually to not tell my parents a lot of things, and just to decide what was good and what was not good for myself. And it actually really exploded in one of the main events for a teenager, which is graduation from high school. Usually your parents are there, your family is there. That didn't happen with me. My parents actually refused to come to that event. And I was angry and disappointed, shocked, probably crying. And I actually asked my best friends, the same friends that I was not allowed to see, to come to my graduation. And it was a bit weird for other people to see me with my friends and not with my family. But I had that strong thing again, like nothing would bring me down. And this was the first time that I had something like, this is resilience. Maybe looking back at it, not at that time, I didn't know that terminology, but also really being a fighter and achieve my goals. A quick other one, main event in my life. It's actually a little bit fast forward, 2 events. A very impactful one, which also is something you couldn't have predicted of like happening, was that my father-in-law at that time, so that is now also already like 14, 15 years ago, died in a big fire in his place. So a massive thing. And of course, your world stands still at that moment. But on the other hand, things do go on. And the same thing happened not even too long ago. About 3 years ago, I was already living in Dubai. And I went back to the Netherlands to visit my mom. I knew she was not okay, but I didn't know it was that bad. I found her in a complete schizophrenic and paranoia state, where you can't imagine that, like coming into an apartment, all the wallpapers torn down, no photos anymore. And actually the clothes that she was wearing were the only clothes she still had. Again, I couldn't change her sickness, her illness, but I could change what to do with it. And doing nothing is not an option. So you do think of like, what are other ideas? What can I do? And you manage. And also I learned one big thing, which I also wanted to express here, is having a support system. For a long, long time in my life, I always thought like, I deal with things. Why should I ask someone? Why would I bother people with my problems? I learned that by actually asking for support, and often it is actually mental support, people understand you better, but they also open up to you. And you do see, hey, I am actually quite normal, and it is normal to go through certain stages in your life and to not always feel okay. It's actually good to acknowledge that some days are better than others, and see who in your support system can actually help you, and vice versa. That is also the link to what people sometimes tell me. Some people tell me like, oh, we are so impressed how you are able to bounce back. I don't see it like that. I think it's very natural to action certain things. And of course, things are impacting. And let's say also the Corona crisis, and everyone has like his or her things in life, hardships. I do think we have a choice how we react to these events, and also where to spend our energy on. So at the moment that people are, for instance, criticizing or stating like, yeah, why did you do this and this? I always have the reply, you're not in my shoes and you're not walking in my shoes. One of the things I really am a strong advocate of is taking care of yourself. And also often it's best to first take care of yourself before you're really able to help others. So that's not, definitely not being egocentric, but it's more if you're not able to help yourself or have a certain balance in your life, how could you, or how would you be able to help someone else? So again, Corona has a massive impact, I think, globally, on us, on every single person. If you ask me, do I worry? Yeah, sometimes I do. I sometimes worry about my own company, about how indeed will life look like in maybe 3 months, 6 months. But do I have an answer to that? No, I don't. So again, what I try to do is acknowledge each day how I'm feeling, and trying indeed to focus on the things that I can change, and to be creative as well in solutions. Very recently, I was talking to another lady I met online, and she told me, like, even the small things at the moment you're not capable of doing. So for instance, just an example, my gym closed very close by in Marina. Minor thing, you would say, but I was there like four times a week, and it hurts, like not open anymore. And this lady said, well, see it as a certain grief as well. You have grief, not only you experience grief when you lose someone, but also other things in life. And if you are able to handle that and actually to divert your focus on what you still can do, it makes life so much easier.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for, it was really great to share your story of success with us and with the audience. And you are really a great example of, you know, how you can just resist your poor circumstances and become successful.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And inshallah, we will have a chance to meet you again to tell us more about your success story.
And maybe just a quick thing, like, of course, I focused mainly now on personal resilience. Happy to share some more about business resilience, but to say, like, all the main factors also apply there, and specifically also to be creative and to look beyond certain things.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now let's welcome our closing keynote speaker, Dr. Hanan. Dr. Hanan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you, Dr. Hala? Thank you so much for having me.
I'm very sorry for delay the schedule.
No,
You're most welcome. I'm very happy to meet you.
Thank you.
The mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hannah. I've been listening to my colleagues, and it's very interesting how we've been talking about, the COVID, post-COVID situations where we were able to gain resilience, understanding, and self-reflection. And I think this is nicely leading into my presentation. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen right now. All right, let me start from the beginning. All right. Yeah, so my name is Dr. Hanan Selim, and I'm pretty much going to be talking today about productivity and proficiency strategies for a resilient recovery. So now it's interesting how, I'm actually a healthcare professional, and I've been in the healthcare system for 25 years now. And I realized some important key factors during the COVID situation where I had to, like everybody else, reflect, especially in the healthcare industry, what can we do now? This is uncharted territories, and then of course, the ripple effects that is now affecting not only our health and well-being, but it's also affecting our businesses, right, and our livelihood. So I was very fortunate enough that I was contacted by Dr. Hala, and she had asked me for a simple quote that, she would be interested to sharing with her audience and part of the marketing. And it was very interesting how, at a whim, I was able to come up with this quote. And it's really not just at that moment. It's actually something that's been brewing for a long, long time. And it just kind of came out all over and right at the moment that she asked me to share the quote. And the quote is, "Business is not about being busy making money, and recovery is certainly not about getting back what's lost. They are both about the passion, the purpose, and the promise you've made to yourself to make the change in the lives of others so that they can thrive and not just, of course, survive." And this was actually something that I've been not only thinking about during COVID, like everybody else was having a aha moments or reflection on where they are, how they got there, and what to do next. And it's actually through a personal story of mine, just like Kirsten was so kind to share her own personal story, but every story there's a learning, right? So here I am, the established, accomplished healthcare professional in Manhattan, 25 years experience. I was on something called the P&T committee, Pharmaceutics and Therapeutics committee, where I was the go-to person for formularies and prescriptions and things to help patients like cancer patients, diabetes patients, and even obese patients. My main work in Manhattan during this time was I was a chemotherapy pharmacist. And to make a long story short, I remember that day, just like it was yesterday, I was at the cancer unit or floor, if you will. And I'll call her Nurse Mercy, because she had a beautiful smile that could light up a room. And she wore that nurse's outfit like an angel with the white hat. And she looked at me and she said, "Dr. Hanan, it's very strange to see you on the other side of the bed." What she meant by that was it was very strange to see me as the patient. Because what had happened, I wasn't the go-to accomplished, established pharmacist. I was actually had been waiting to go into surgery because I had developed precancerous cells in my ovaries. I was 40 kgs heavier than I was today. I had developed diabetes, borderline blood pressure. It was a very very tough time in my own health and well-being. And of course, I did what I knew best. I went to the stuff that I was giving my own patients. I did the prescriptions, I had the formulas and the protocols, and I was even going in for surgery to move these precancerous cells. But unfortunately, I realized what I've been very noticing, or I had in the back of my head for a long time with my own patients, which was that there was something that we weren't looking at, that there was something that we were missing that wasn't showing in lab works, or it wasn't showing on x-rays. And of course, when life hits and you're on the fire, in front of the fire, like you're going through this experience, everything comes rushing. What can I do now? All the protocols are not working. As a matter of fact, my cancer indicators went from 70 to 700 in 3 months' time. And everything came flashing back, and that put me on the journey that led me to where I am today, to understand what is happening behind the scenes, the root cause that is leading all these chronic conditions across the world, even first world countries. I mean, if you look at the statistics in the US, excuse me, it used to be a year ago, it was 1 in 3 patients who developed cancer, 1 in 3 patients who developed diabetes. Now, the numbers are staggering, and we're looking at 1 in 2 patients who are developing cancer. And just to put everything in perspective, that if you're sitting in a room, if it's not you who's developing cancer, or if it's not the person next to you, then it's you. So it kind of hits home, and it's kind of an eye-opening for a lot of people to understand these numbers and these statistics. So anyway, I went on to, pivoting, right? This is the word we've been always hearing with COVID, right? You need to pivot. And I hate that word, but anyway, that's everything we're hearing nowadays, is how do we pivot in our business? How do we pivot in our health? How do we pivot in our health and well-being? And I learned a very important lesson, not just during this epidemic, but I learned it through my own health crisis. And that theory is theory, and steps are steps. And what I mean by steps, I'm talking about the protocols, like if you have this, you should take this medicine, or if you have that, you should have this invasive measure, or so on and so forth. And what we're looking at, or we're missing actually, just like I was missing in my own health and well-being on the lab works, we're looking at where's the step that it all went wrong, or what is the theory that we need to prove now to move forward. And the truth of the matter is that it's the transformation that we should be looking at. How to move forward? How do we take the learnings and the challenges and make it into opportunities and leverage it, not only in our business, but in our health and well-being? Because I always say that the leader or the business owner is not just leading a business. He has to lead from his own self. If he's not well, or if he's having issues, then how can the business survive? So Kirsten said a really, really important point, that if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anything else. And this is really the transformation. We always have to look at ourselves first as being the captain of our ship. And that means the ship of our life, or ship of our business, whatever it may be. We need to sit and reflect and create that transformation within our own lives in order to move forward in everything else we're trying to accomplish, including our business. So this is what led me to understand, what is important, and brought me onto this journey of my own circumstances and situations, to something called wellness, halology, psychology prescriptions. And I realized that the prescriptions I was dishing out to my patients was not what I was supposed to be doing. I was supposed to give them their life back. I was giving them hope and transformation that I was just talking about, not just those steps or the theory or the protocols. And I realized that we always have to look at the root cause. Why did this happen in the first place? We can't just assume or presume that whatever was working for this person or that person is going to work for me. We can't just use one size fits all to try to address every issue, whether it be in our health, well-being, or even business. We have to step back and understand our own life, our own circumstances. It has to be a customized approach. No longer are we able to move forward beyond this situation in the epidemic and just try to fit everything with what was working before and never mind what's going to work ahead. We have to understand our own personal environment and situation in order to be able to control it and understand it and leverage it and create it as an opportunity rather than a challenge. This led me on a breakthrough in awards and recognition. I wrote a book. I was able to be invited across the world. And that wasn't just for me to, be, the significance or the showing off or the show light or anything. It's just that what is possible for you in your own life? What can you leverage in your own life to go ahead and create a change for not only for yourself, but for others? And I always love this saying, a mentor of mine always said, why are we trying so hard to fit in when we were born to stand out? And leading with that, that brought me onto a lot of research. And of course, I'm a scientist at the end of the day. I had to go analyze, I had to get the proof, I had to get the data, I had to get the statistics that allowed me to bring this to a lot of people. Now it's gone global. To the understanding, yes, there's stress, there's anxiety, and of course there's depression because of the situation, but that only makes up 15% of the answer. 10% is only the nutrition and eating well and sleeping well is another 10%, or even exercise is 9%. What we need to understand is our environmental challenges that are in our environment every single day that are not only contributing to our physical damage, but our mental health as well. And I truly believe that mental health is the cornerstone of physical health. This led me to understand that you don't need to have, of course, the facilities and the employees, just having a system that you can create and move forward, and that would be your business, to help others, to make an impact. And this is actually the best time and opportunity for everyone to realize and look at your own situation and what your learnings were that you could now create it as a system for others to move forward and impact for others' lives. So this is actually just an overview of what we're talking about in my own system, and that's the root cause, trying to analyze what is actually happening behind the scenes that's not showing up on the paperwork, that's not showing up on the lab work or the x-rays or MRI. And then be able to break through that and be understanding to have a customized approach that will work for your own circumstances and not another one size fits all. And how then we can leverage that and grow and be able to flow with that situation of growth and opportunities in your own business and creating your own wealth and security. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be on this journey, even though it didn't look like it back then when you were always worried about, death being at the doorstep. But now I've been able to bring the system across Egypt, Switzerland, of course in UAE where I'm living right now, the UK and India. And I'm actually looking at over 22 countries and helping and improving and creating a bigger impact globally for others in the world. So that's, in a nutshell, my story, my information that I want to everyone to leave with. And if anyone wants more information, please follow me on any of these handles at drhanansalim.com. Thank you so much, and it's been an honor and a pleasure, Dr. Hala.
Hanan, we were really honored to hear your story. That was a great inspirational story of real success on the personal level and on the global level. I wish you all the success of the world.
Thank you so much.
If you just be so generous as you have been with sharing your story with the audience to answer some of their questions, if possible.
Sure. Alhamdulillah, salama, Dr. Hanan, thank you so much. I forgot to mention that part, that within that 10 months of that journey, I was able to actually reverse any condition. I lost 30 kgs. Well, I'm working on my last 10 kgs, but I'm getting there. But yeah, it's actually been a triumph and a journey, and I'm very happy to come on the other side stronger, better, even at my age. Thank you all. Kristen, yep, was able to bounce back. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yasser, thank you for sharing my story. Appreciate it, everyone. There's no really question, it's just everybody thanking me, and I'm very honored and pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. In fact, today's journey in this conference with our speakers has gone beyond my real expectations. I'm really grateful, and I would like to show my appreciation for all the speakers. I will just say a few words that I deeply believe in, that even when you cease to be, you will always be there. Your words, your deeds, and the pages you left for others to read and complete. Now, our speakers today have left us so many words to think, to ponder on. And I'm sure there will be so many pages to be filled by our speakers tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Join us tomorrow at 5 o'clock, inshallah. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today, and God bless you all. See you tomorrow. Thank you.